Hello students. Now we'll discuss paying banker. Paying banker. The banker who is liable to pay the value of check of a customer as per the contract. Banker who is liable to pay the value of check of a customer as per the contract when the amount is due from him to the customer is called paying banker. When the amount is due from him to the customer is called paying banker or drawing bank. The payment to be made by him has arisen due to the contractual obligation. Paying banker is also called drawing bank. Paying banker is drawing bank as a check is drawn on him. So this is paying banker. The payment has to be made by the banker as per the legal obligation also. According to section 31 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, the drawer of a check having sufficient funds of the drawer in his hands properly applicable to the payment of such a check. The drawer of a check having sufficient funds of the drawer in his hands properly applicable to the payment of such a check must pay the check when duly required to do so, and in default of such payment must compensate the drawer for any loss or damage caused by such default. Okay, तो जो ड्रॉई होगा बैंकर होगा मस्ट पे द चेक, और अगर डिफ़ॉल्ट होता है, कोई लॉस हो जाता है, डैमेज हो जाता है, तो मस्ट कॉम्पनसेट द ड्रॉर. Then according to this provision, the drawer of a check, paying banker has a legal obligations to honor the demand of the drawer or customer. If he fails to pay the money held, he is liable for damages. Thus, paying banker has certain obligations to discharge. Then, duties of a paying banker. A paying banker having sufficient funds belonging to his customer must honor his checks. Paying banker की क्या ड्यूटी है? Sufficient funds होने चाहिए belonging to his customer. If sufficient funds होंगे ना, then must honor his checks. Good checks कौन से? Those checks which are complete in all aspects should be honored. Good checks should be honored and bad checks should be dishonored. If the banker honors bad checks, he loses the statutory protection and also loses the amount. यहाँ लाइबल होगा बैंकर अगर वो बैड चेक्स को ऑनर करता है या एंटरटेन करता है, तो जो लॉसेस होंगे वो बियर करेगा. ओके, स्टैट्यूटरी प्रोटेक्शन कोई नहीं मिलने वाला है इस केस में बैंकर को. सिमिलरली इफ ही वाज टू डिसऑनर गुड चेक्स, अभी गुड चेक्स भी एंटरटेन करने हैं, not only does he loses the statutory protection but also would be liable for damages. Nominal भी हो सकते हैं, substantial भी हो सकते हैं. तो गुड चेक्स को भी डिसऑनर नहीं करना चाहिए, वरना वही लायबल होगा. A banker has to be very vigilant while dealing with customers' check. Then duties are as follows of the paying banker. First one is as per the provision of section 31. If the drawer of a check has sufficient funds of the drawer in his hands, अगर sufficient funds हैं which could be used properly to pay the check, he must pay the check whenever required to do so. Failure to do so would render him liable to compensate the drawer for any loss or damage caused to him by non payment of the check so drawn. Second one is the paying banker is expected to pay the check to the genuine pay as per the direction issued by the customer. The payment must be made during banking hours. During banking hours, the bank must honor the check that is drawn against the account maintained at that branch of the bank where the check is presented. The banker must honor the check that is drawn against the account maintained at that branch of the bank where the check is presented. The banker should make payment of crossed check at the counter. The banker should make payment of crossed check at the counter. Crossed checks must be paid only through a banker. Only through a banker if checks are crossed generally or through the specified banker in case of special crossing. The paying banker should make the payment as per the provisions of Negotiable Instrument Act. The paying banker should act with care and caution and prudence while honoring the check. These are the duties of the paying banker. Then responsibilities of the paying banker. First one is checks drawn on branch. The paying banker shall honor only those checks which are drawn against the account maintained at branch of the bank. कौन से checks honor करेगा? Which are drawn against the account maintained at a branch of the bank where the checks are presented. Then presentation within validity needed. The paying banker is legally bound to pay only such checks which are presented to him for payment. किन चेक्स के लिए है बाउंड? जो कि रीजनेबल टाइम के अंदर प्रेजेंट करे जाएंगे. Reasonable time is 6 months from the date of the issue of the check. वो मेंशन किया जाता है चेक्स पर. ओके, जिस भी तरह के चेक है, जो भी फॉर्म है चेक की, तो वो फॉलो अप करते हुए रीजनेबल टाइम देखा जाएगा. बट बेसिकली इट इज़ 6 months from the date of issue of the check. Then presentation within banking hours. Check must be presented within the banking hours. Any check presented after the banking hours has no legal effect. Banking hours के बाद नहीं प्रेजेंट करना है क्योंकि तब लीगली नहीं उसको माना जाएगा, ठीक है ना, हैज़ नो लीगल इफेक्ट एंड देयरफॉर बैंकर कांट बी हेल्ड लायबल फॉर रिफ्यूजिंग पेमेंट ऑन सच चेक्स. Then sufficient balance. Funds in that account must be sufficient and available to honor the checks. For dishonor of check due to shortage of funds, banks are not held responsible. Rather, if checks are drawn without funds, drawers by punishable under section 138. यहाँ ध्यान दें 138 के अंडर पनिशेबल होंगे ड्रॉर्स अगर सफिशिएंट बैलेंस नहीं है तो. नेक्स्ट वन इज मस्ट बी वैलिड इंस्ट्रूमेंट. Validity. Checks not drawn in proper form are refused by the paying banker. Section 5 and 6 of the negotiable instrument Act provides that the bank should examine the contents of the check to ensure that it is perfectly a valid instrument containing an unconditional order to pay a certain sum of money. Clear? Then these are the responsibilities of paying banker. Duties and responsibilities are clear. Okay, thank you.